And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win, pre-recorded Sunday for Monday, is from Big Bro, if I got that name right, who asked the question, who wins in a fight? Yhwach from Bleach, or Yhwach, versus, I want to get this name right, Reinhard Van Astrea from ReZero. So, apparently, I chose this not as a speed round fight, but as a normal fight, because I didn't know who this character was. And I figured if you're going to pair them against someone like Yhwach, they would be someone of comparable strength. So what does this character actually bring to the table? What do they actually have for an ability? They're pretty powerful in their world, admittedly. So what are they actually capable of doing? Well, they're known as the current Sword Saint. And what their actual powers and abilities are is essentially divine protection. That's the main thing this character is capable of doing. They are able to request any divine protection they feel like they need in a specific situation and permanently keep those protections, which is in kind of a nuts ability. It's like, I'm just going to ask for this. I get it now. This gives them access to a wide array of divine protections. Requests are granted to him by Ode Lagna, which is even capable of creating new divine protections that have never existed before. But sometimes there are errors in conveying his intentions, and Reinhard doesn't get a proper divine protection. Now, this ability is coming to be unrelated to him being the Sword Saint. Essentially, being the Sword Saint also, after pets, allows him to, let me see here. The divine protection allows him to see the trajectory of incoming attacks in forms of white rays, be it sword, axe, slashes, or incomings, and basically just parry them. He basically can hit every weak point of his enemy. His various divine protections include revival, which means he can't conventionally be killed. He can just keep reviving himself with a different version of revival. Projectile repulsion, superhuman stealth, powerful resistances to like elemental effects and magics, miasmas, but if he's surrounded completely by miasma, he is somewhat weakened. Various strengthening methods, instant weapons creation, he can't be ambushed, divine awareness protection that allows him to learn divine protections that others hold, empathic resonance and telepathy. With this, he's able to share his thoughts with his friends, hyper precision, air dashing, balancing, sword mastery, mana draining sword, a slash from the dragon sword reed. A huge powerful slash, master hand-to-hand combatant, a detective gate. According to Idrina, his gate is unable to release the mana inside of his body back out into the atmosphere. Though she mentions that he's able to absorb incredible amounts, and that it doesn't cause him any harm to his body. He uses all of his mana to boost his physical abilities, which again gives him super strength, speed, movements, all the enhanced physicality you'd be able to get from something like this. Excess mana circulation constitution. Ever since birth, his gate was defective, which means he's unable to use any kind of magic. That being said, he can also absorb mana from the atmosphere and bolster his own physical capabilities. Similar, ironically, to a Quincy. And he wields Dragon Sword Reed, which it's a Raido. It might be Ride. It's R-E-I-D, but in Japanese it's it's R-I-E-D-O, so Raido, maybe. Either way, yeah, powerful guy in his own world. But here's the thing. I can see, in theory, why this matchup could work. And I wanted to be sure about the scaling of this world, ReZero's world, before I actually gave my final, answer on what I thought. Yeah. See, the problem here is, even if he's got divine protection and can create new divine protections, those divine protections really don't mean anything. Because you're fighting against Yhwach. Even if we're using him as just straight Yhwach without the Soul King enhancements right out the gate, you're dealing with a guy who is strong enough to beat Yamamoto, who is a multiversal level threat. His Zanpakuto can burn down an entire dimension on its own, and his power output can affect other worlds as well. So he's at minimum a universal to multiversal level threat. Yhwach is equal or even greater than Yamamoto. He's capable of absorbing energy from the environment around him. He's also capable of just stealing other people's abilities if he really wants to. That's how dangerous he is. He's capable of using many different forms of Quincy attacks. The standard energy bows from Reishi, what was it, Ausbalen to steal again power from other Quincy's as well. The Saint Altar, which is like a Quincy star, which involves like imprisoning someone and again robbing individuals of energy. Then you factor also, in fact, he's capable of using high super speeds that move him well beyond light speed, like Hirenkaku. He's also capable of using Blue Vein and Blue Arterio to increase his physical and defense and offense to the point where he will just straight up overwhelm someone in power. And again, keeping him on par with someone like Yamamoto or Ichigo. And then, of course, there's the Almighty, which grants him infinite kaleidoscope view of every possible conceivable future and allows him to choose the events and outcomes he wants. And that's not even enhancing that to the point of the like using the Soul King's abilities, which puts him way into the multiversal range. Literally, his existence alone keeps the fabric of existence intact. That's just existing. If he wants to, he can just tear it all down. And again, the Almighty, which allows him to literally affect the future however he sees. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's two different forms of the Almighty. Not two different, but there's just choosing the future you want to happen. The infinite amounts. And then there's he actually is capable of altering it as well. Like straight out like choosing a future and saying, no, I don't want that to happen. Because he's literally made futures where there's literally futures where he set traps in places where someone was going to step, and there you go, it happened. And he can do all of this instantly. Even if you factor any sort of divine protection in here, it's irrelevant. Because he can literally just undo a divine protection. He can undo his rebirth. He can just kind of negate all of his abilities on some level. He can rob abilities from this guy as well. Mana and Reishi are not the same thing, so any mana absorption or whatever abilities don't matter. And then there's just the argument of scaling. We're dealing with someone who's a multiversal level threat versus someone that the best I can find is Continental? Like, the scaling is just way beyond measure here. So unfortunately, this would be a bit of a smackdown. It'd be a very big smackdown, honestly. So yeah, Yhwach would have to take this fight. There's just nothing this character really has that can do anything, because he's playing on a different type of level with like just what he's actually capable of doing. That being said, though, this is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.